now the next generation which is coming in, which is, so when I spoke about the son, now his children are now at an age where they are getting into the banking age, they are getting into the working age.
Yeah.
We realize that they are not going to stick with us just because of loyalty.
Yeah.
Loyalty is one factor because the bank has been with them and they have been with us. That's great, but loyalty alone is not going to be enough. So we recognize that, right? And because the dynamics on that generation is now completely changing, as you rightly said.
Yeah.
Right? It's completely faceless banking. Gone are the days when anybody would walk into a branch or even call a contact center.
Yeah.
Right?
Agree. Yeah.
It's all about digital. It's all about availing your banking services at your fingertips.
Yeah.
And which is where there is a lot of investment and focus which has gone in over the last year and couple of years, as I said, on building this entire digital framework for us, right? So whether it is the mobile banking, whether it is internet banking, whether it is UPI, whether it is whatever, right? All of those things, there's a lot of investment and focus which is going in. Number one.
The Sound of Money with Santosh Sirur.
Hello and welcome to another super special episode of The Sound of Money. I have a truly insightful, amazing guest joining me from the other side of the screen from Bengaluru. We have Mr. Ramaswamy Subramanian. He's the Chief Product Officer of Karnataka Bank Limited, which is, of course, the Bharataka Bank, as we all know in its centenary. And the beauty of having Mr. Ramas, as we call him, he's better known as, and I will call you Ramas if you don't mind.
Please do. Please do.
The good part is he's not wearing a single or a double hat. He's wearing 4 hats and amazing experience. Hi, Ramas, and welcome to The Sound of Money.
Hi, Santosh. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Ramas, what I know is you are a newbie to the bank. In a bank which has been 100 years, and I know the challenges of joining a bank coming from a different space altogether. How have been the initial less than 10 months for you been in KBL?
Yeah, thank you, Santosh. Firstly, I mean, while I'm a newbie from a vintage perspective, it already feels like a lifetime in the bank. The reason is simple. The reason I'm saying that is because the number of initiatives which are going on in the bank as part of the overall transformation journey. I mean, it just seems like a lifetime, right? That's the amount of work that is happening. So it's like 10 months of time, but maybe 2 years of work, which is kind of gone in or still going into what we are doing.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, it has been phenomenal. I think time has just flown, right? And that is also a true indication of the fact that things are moving along and there's a lot of action.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to have, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I joined the bank. So December of 2023 is when I joined the bank. I come with around 29 years of experience overall in the industry, Santosh. I've been on the banking side, I've been on the NBFC side, I've done insurance, I've done mutual funds, I've done broking, I've done microfinance, I've done consumer loyalty, one stint outside of banking, and I've also been an entrepreneur somewhere along the way, right?
Okay.
So in that sense, I think I've been fortunate to have been able to do multiple things to understand. And one of the things that I've always prided myself on is my desire to learn and keep learning new things and doing new things.
Yeah.
And I've always been a change agent, right? Wherever I've gone, so I think that is just continued. And for me to be able to come into a kind of a setup like Karnataka Bank with its unbelievably rich heritage, history, and culture of 100 years, as you know, is just been absolutely fantastic. And you rightly touched upon the fact that obviously with all of these things happening, with some of the new lateral hires coming in, there is this mix of new and the old in the bank, right? Because the people in the bank, who have been around for like 20, 30 years. There are people who have spent almost 4 decades also in the bank.
Yeah.
That's the kind of lineage and heritage which is there in the bank. And the beauty is that now with some of the new things that we are doing, the new hires that are coming in, we are seeing a wonderful blend of this old and new culture. And that is really helping the bank to grow leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
For me personally, having come in, as I said, around 9 to 10 months ago, initial period was also about trying to understand, this entire culture, right? Understanding the people, and that's important for anybody who's coming in. I think if you don't try and understand the environment that you're coming into, the setting that you're coming into, I think you're setting up yourself for failure for
Yeah.
sure. And of course, the bank. So for me to understand the people, understand the heritage, understand the strengths of the bank, understand the sensitivities around the people here
True.
in terms of work culture, all of that was critical.
Yeah.
And to kind of settle in and imbibe myself into this culture without just getting influenced by it. Yeah. Totally right. So because the idea was also to try and bring change as part of the culture, that as part of the mandate that I was coming in with, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the idea was to try and look at what are the strengths of the bank, look at what are the experiences and the the new things which are happening outside of the bank, bring those learnings in,
Yeah.
and then try and build a new culture for the bank, which will take us on for the next 100 years. So if you
Absolutely.
look at it from that perspective, that was a phased way I went about. In fact, I also written an article on my first 100 days
Okay.
in social media, right, where I talked about some of these challenges and how we I kind of overcame them.
Yeah.
Post 100 days, of course, action has been really hot. And as I said, there is a huge amount of transformation happening, and
Yeah.
I'll talk about that probably in the next,
Sure.
maybe the next part.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as part of the transformation, for us to now start moving things, getting into execution mode, identifying the key areas that the bank wants to work upon, defining those what are those objectives, defining a roadmap to get to those objectives. I think all of those things are in place, and now we are really running full tilt towards getting there, Santosh.
Yeah, wonderful. So with Mr. Keech at the helm, and he's really driving the initiatives, and he comes in at the right time, right, where the bank is at its very crucial juncture of the 100+ now.
Yes.
And he too comes in with that same experience outside working with lots of other banks, and he brings in that culture and that kind of synchronization probably that has come in with you guys coming in, joining the team. How has been the culture change, the culture shift within the bank for you, as well as the team as a overall, as to what kind of drive has been done in terms of the transformation? First, maybe we talk it from the human aspect, and then we take it to the product aspect.
Absolutely, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, an organization is all about people, as you
Yeah.
rightly said, Santosh, and the transformation needs to start from people, right? So the people culture, which is, and I spoke about it in the first part of it, right? In terms of understanding the sensitivities around the people here, looking at what they bring to the table, because they come with a wealth of experience. I mean, the only problem is, of course, they have not been exposed to the outside world enough.
True.
Because they have been in the bank, but that doesn't take away the fact that there's a massive amount of knowledge, there's a massive amount of skill sets, massive amount of experience which is there within the organization. And for a lot of us guys who came in new, including Keech, Sri, and Shekhar, our ED, and all of the rest who followed, I think it was also about understanding these strengths and figuring out how to leverage on these strengths as we as we go about building the bank for the next 100 years. So I think that was critical, and I think that challenge has been overcome through a lot of these discussions, through a lot of dialogue, through kind of a lot of the town halls which have been happening, where the bank and the management has been talking about what the vision is, what the roadmap is, and where the bank needs to go to, and all of those things, right? So I think that has been successfully achieved. We have a new CHRO who's come in and who's now looking at benchmarking all our people. Kind of people strategy, putting that in place, benchmarking with the market, and looking at how to kind of set ourselves up for the next 100 years, as I spoke about. So that's one on the people side. Apart from that, I know this is oft repeated by a lot of our senior management folks, and I will also repeat it once again because it's important. We call ourselves a startup at 100, as our MD fondly puts it, and we are truly believe in being a startup. And that culture is now imbibed across the organization. Whether old or new, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's no old or new as far as that is concerned. Everybody understands that we are back to startup mode, though we are 100-year-old, and that's the beauty, right? Because we are 100-year-old, we have a lot of strength, and we as we call ourselves a startup and we try to build on this journey, we are already there in terms of having a lot of things in place.
Agreed.
So I think that's as far as the culture goes. The people culture goes. Apart from that, of course, there are 2-3 other areas that we are focusing on. The entire digital thrust which is happening, where we are kind of transforming ourselves totally digitally. And when I say digitally, it means across the bank, right? It also means, one is of course from a B2C side, from the consumer side,
Yeah.
or a customer side, we are looking at how to digitize our journeys, how to open up new channels. We are looking at a complete omni-channel kind of an approach to banking. So
Yeah.
it is not just restricted to the traditional form of banking, which is to the branches.
Yeah.
We have our MB, IB strategy. We have the contact center. We have WhatsApp. Every other form of banking which is possible, we are kind of now into it. And the idea being that wherever our customer is, however he wants to reach us, we should be able to kind of service and provide our products to that customer.
Very
So that is something which is truly setting in now as we speak.
Hmm.
And the product, obviously, the product structure or the product strategy kind of meshes into the overall digital strategy that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And when I say digital, as I said, one is the customer side. It is not only about customer; it's also about automating our processes internally.
True.
So within the various stakeholders within the bank, if you look at the life cycle of any product, whether it's a liability product, whether it's an asset product or a third-party product, we're also looking at automating some of our key processes internally, so that we're able to achieve better efficiencies, we are able
Yeah.
to achieve better throughput, turnaround times are better. All of those things are something that we're kind of working on.
Yeah.
Specifically on the product side, the bank never had a product structure, Santosh, before this. Right? So this was as part of the overall transformation and the cultural shift that we were doing. The bank actually invested in creating a product and a business solutions group kind of a structure within the
Yeah.
bank. And that, to my mind, is a very crucial initiative, because I believe that the product and the BSG structure kind of integrates the front end to the back end.
True. Yeah.
Right? So there's a business on the front, there is the channels, there are the field teams on the front, and there is the entire backbone, which is technology, operations, and some of the other functions.
Yeah.
So you need a crucial bridge between these two aspects of the business,
Yeah.
which is what the product and the BSG team does.
Hmm.
And from that perspective, creating this product structure has also allowed us to be able to focus on benchmarking our products to market, looking at what is best in class, and repurposing all our products to kind of fit the market.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Earlier, it was part of the business itself; it was embedded in the business, and
Yeah.
obviously, business pressures are always going to be there. You still needed somebody to be independently looking at these products and seeing whether they're actually meeting the requirements of the customer. So that piece is what this entire product and BSC structure does today.
Yeah.
And if I have to talk about the product strategy, broadly we divide the product strategy into 6 areas. If I may go ahead.
Yes, sure.
Sure. So number one is, of course, we are all here for the customer. So customer segment. So what is the segment that the bank wants to go after? Santosh, is what we first defined. And again, if you see all our investor conversations and our public information that we talk about, there are 3 segments that the bank focuses on very clearly. There's retail, there's agri, and there's MSME. We call it the RAM, right? So the RAM strategy is something that the bank is truly believe in, because we believe we have a right to win in each of these 3 areas.
Yeah.
We believe we have a strong heritage in these 3 areas, because a lot of our customers come from these 3 segments, and we believe that we can really grow these segments in a big way. There's a lot of headroom to kind of do better.
Yeah.
So RAM, so one is looking at each of these segments, understanding the customers that we want to go after in these segments, because these are large segments in itself.
Yeah.
It's not that, and we really believe that we probably can't play in all of those spaces, right? So the idea is to be clear about which segment I want to go after in RAM, and then benchmark my products and put out products which are suited to the customer needs.
Yeah.
So that is our first step that we have been doing over the last 1 year. We have quite a few products that we are now repurposed, refitted, redone, recreated, all of that. And it's a continuous process. It doesn't end with that, right? You need to continuously keep benchmarking and keep improving and doing all of those things.
Yeah.
So that's one part of the customer segment. Second part is partnerships. As a bank, now we firmly understand and believe the strength and power of partnerships and collaborations. So in multiple areas, we have partnerships now with various players, whether it could be fintechs, it could be other NBFCs for co-lending, it could be third-party products where, like insurance and mutual funds for wealth. So all of those things. So we recognize very clearly that the way to grow is partnerships.
Yeah.
Because there is always going to be a challenge for the bank to maybe get into certain products, to maybe get into certain geographies, or to be able to understand the customer better.
Yeah.
By ourselves. So why not ride on a partnership? Why not ride on partners who know to do it better, who can originate better? Maybe you can provide better data to me to underwrite, who can maybe give me access to markets which I can't go myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
So that's the partnership strategy that we are kind of putting in place. The third one is the entire thing about the customer experience. I have 1.2 crore odd customer base, right? So out of which 80 lakh customers are active with me.
Yeah.
So how am I ensuring that I cross sell better, upsell better, create a better experience for my existing customers,
Yeah.
so that they want to buy more and more from me,
True.
stick with me for a long time.
Yeah.
And so to do all of that, right? So look at the ETB strategy, which is independent from a customer journey and experience compared to an NTB, right? On the NTB side, also from a product standpoint, I'm always looking at how to embed more products into my journey for a new customer.
Yeah.
So if I bring him in with one product, why can't I, attach a couple of more products?
Yeah.
So that automatically the stickiness goes up and this customer sees value in what the bank brings to him. So that's the entire piece on customer experience. Fourth one is the omni-channel one, which I already spoke to you about.
Yeah.
So customers are no longer going to walk into my branches. Isn't it? So customers are used to being serviced at the doorstep. Customers are used to digital channels. So how do I harness my MB, IB, my WhatsApp banking, my contact center to kind of not only service these customers, but also offer more and more new products to them. Right? So I make each of them independent channels and make each of them profit centers for the bank. So that's the fourth aspect of the strategy. The fifth part of the strategy is the entire go-to-market.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to work on a product and then say it's available, but how do I get a go-to-market which ensures that this product is successful?
True.
How do I ensure that there's sufficient uptake on this product and I'm able to meet the objectives or the metrics that I have defined as part of the product launch?
Yeah.
So the entire go-to-market in terms of defining the customer segment that I want to go to, how am I going to communicate to this customer? How am I going to train my own staff to be able to say the right things across channels, right? So that's the go-to-market strategy that we kind of work upon. And the last piece is the portfolio management. So I've built a product, I've launched it, we've done a go-to-market, the business is coming in. It needs portfolio management, right? Whether it's an asset or a liability product, it doesn't matter. It needs to be profitable. It needs to be of the right quality. It needs to make sense for the bank from an income perspective. All of those things.
Yeah.
So so measure those metrics, define those metrics firstly. Measure them continuously. Use those insights to try and tweak the products or make changes to the product as it is deemed necessary, and do all of that. So that's the entire portfolio management.
Wonderful.
So that's how we have kind of broken up our product strategy into 6 parts.
Yeah, these 6 pillars, Ramas, as you say, are very crucial, and the edifice is built on that. But what is equally important, the customer centricity, which I believe is what it eventually revolves around. So the next question to you is something around, the bank on one hand is in its centenary year, right? But as you rightly put, it's like the startup at 100, right? But what is it? Very important, and I believe the customer, the Karnataka Bank customer, I believe thanks to the DMON, the UPI, the digitization journey of India. Do you see that journey evolving for the Karnataka Bank customer? Because he was a traditional passbook, long queue in the branch, but he was happy, or she was happy with that. But now with online banking, a lot more digitization, and now it's more faceless banking. How is the customer adapting to KBL and its new product strategy?
Yeah. So if you see our customer base, traditionally we have been having customers who've been banking with us for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And it was amazingly an eye-opener for me when I walked into the bank and saw some of these customers and met some of them, and I went around the market. Because these customers have been with us for like generations. So the grandfather has banked with us, the father has banked with us, and now maybe the son is banking with us. That kind of, and this is not ad hoc or one-off. I mean, this is true across the bank. Yeah. But what we also realized is now the next generation which is coming in, which is when I spoke about the son, now his children are now at an age where they are getting into the banking age, they are getting into the working age.
Yeah.
We realize that they are not going to stick with us just because of loyalty.
Yeah.
Loyalty is one factor because the bank has been with them and they have been with us. So that's great, but loyalty alone is not going to be enough. So we recognize that, right? And because the dynamics on that generation is now completely changing, as you rightly said.
Yeah.
Right? It's completely faceless banking. Gone are the days when anybody would walk into a branch or maybe call a contact center.
Yeah,
right?
agree. Yeah.
It's all about digital. It's all about availing your banking services at your fingertips.
Wonderful. On that very, very positive outlook and a very positive looking forward vision. Thank you so much, Ramas, for being with me on this podcast, The Sound of Money.
Thank you so much, Santosh. It was awesome being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Most welcome. My pleasure. And well, with that, we come to the end of this edition of the super special Karnataka Bank's special episodes on this podcast, The Sound of Money. From me, Santosh Siru, and my guest from Bengaluru, Mr. Ramaswamy Subramanian. Thank you so much for being with us on this podcast. Bye-bye and take care.
The Sound of Money with Santosh Siru.